Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sandy Treasures. Today, you're watching me paint this beautiful turtle that is in the ocean, that has a beautiful reflection. I am totally in love with this project, but I gotta admit, it was kind of puzzling when I got to doing a lot of the very detailed scales that it has on the fins and the reflection of it. But let's start with the beginning. So here I'm doing the water, and I love this teal color that I'm using. And I'm using oil paintings, and I'm using linseed oil to as a medium to get it to move around a little bit. My technique, my favorite technique, is to actually use that linseed oil, spread it, just cover my basics, and then come back and distribute the oil paint wherever I want it to go. So at the very beginning, when I lay the paint down, it looks very choppy, it looks very rough. It's what I call the shitty stage, but I'm okay with it because I know that after a little while, let's say I get into different sections. Let's say I get to do section 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I come back to section 1 and I start doing a little bit of blending and I add colors before it gets all dry. So at this point, when it's sat there for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it's usually into this tacky stage that I absolutely love working with. And I definitely love the combination of teal and royal blue that I have going on in the water. And like I said, I let it get a little tacky. And while I'm working on the fin, which is pretty complex with all the little sections that the fin has, my goodness, it's a little puzzling. And I do have a reference material. I am not going to show the reference material because of copyrights, but I can tell you that I didn't trace anything at all. I did everything freehand. And I know that there's a lot of skewiness and there's a lot of differences, but I did use this reference material. That is a picture that I got from the internet. It's actual photography. And I would have loved to ask for permission to show the image that I used for reference for this painting, but there were like 20 or 30 people that had posted this image, when I looked around, how once you kind of like find the image you like, all of a sudden you start seeing the same image over and over because the algorithm kind of like understands what you like. So anyway, I have no idea where the image came from, but there's a lot of differences in between the image and my painting, from the colors to and the fact that I didn't trace it. It's definitely different because I'm pretty sure I skewed it, quite a bit. But anyway, just wanted to let you know I am using it from an image, and that is the reason why I am not showing it to you guys. But oh my God, so much fun to paint. What a beautiful scenario here. The turtle with its reflection up in the water. I am just in love with the whole process. Although I gotta admit, very complicated when it comes to all those little sections on the fins and then trying to put that on the reflection. And of course, the reflection of the fins has a lot of wiggle and it has some sharp sections and it also has some fuzzy sections. So it was very challenging, but I really liked it. The colors that I used were mainly deeper browns. Sometimes I mixed it with a little yellow ochre, and sometimes I put a little bit of cad red, and I just had a blast with it. And I'm painting on a skim board, and I'm not really using a lot of pigments because I want a little bit of translucency. And I can tell you these colors are like amazing how saturated they are making my paint job look. And you know what, I'm happy with that. I was going to go a little bit more translucent with this whole deal, but I said, I really like how it's turning out, so I'm leaving it like that. And of course, in this area of the fin and the connection with the neck and all of that, like there's a little wiggle in the water that, of course, is moving all these shapes around. Well, once I had all of that done, and I wanted to remove some of the base color that I had on the fins reflection. You know what I did? I went ahead and used mineral spirits, like just barely soaking my the tip of my brush with mineral spirits and removing in between those scales. That's how I got basically what you're seeing is the color of the skim board is the color that's going on in between the scales of the fin of the turtle's reflection. Let me see if I can word it better. The fin's reflection in between each one of those scales, there's no color there. All I did was remove the color with the tip of my brush barely soaked into mineral spirits. You see what I did? I mean, I love that technique. And then with the water, oh my God, that was so much fun. Is first I put that base color, right? And then I let it get tacky and I put whatever, I'm using royal blue and I'm using white. So wherever I want to put those colors, I apply it, let it get tacky a little bit, and then I come back with a dry brush and I lightly blend that. And you see how the right top corner looks already. I mean, I'm in love with this whole project. I can see myself doing more of this type of like, where you have your subject, in this case, the turtle, and then you have that reflection. It's kind of like when you go underwater and you're taking that picture underwater and you look slightly up and you get the surface of the water all of a sudden becomes a mirror, but it's also distorting everything. I am just totally in love with the whole project. I hope I'm not stressing it too much, but I love this project. It is so much fun. So back to how I'm approaching this, like with the head, the same thing. I had a base color and I let it get tacky. Then I apply my brown. I let it get a little tacky. I apply the cad red. And once it gets a little tacky after a few minutes, 10 or 20 minutes, I go with a dry brush and I'm blending everything in just barely, not too much. And then I go with the technique again of where my brush is dipped into mineral spirits and I start to remove what is in between each one of the sections, like each one of the scales. I think that's the right word for a turtle, right? And I'm removing that paint in between each one of the sections on the reflection, the head's reflection. Oh my God, this is, this piece, I think this is probably my favorite piece, and it doesn't have a mermaid. It's like, oh my gosh, how can this be? So this is definitely going to have the element of environmental awareness, and I want to let you guys know that. So I hope you're enjoying all the content that I have going on here. I'm enjoying watching this myself. I'm enjoying editing this video and watching the whole thing again because I had just too much fun. And here I go again, having more fun with that section of the water where I have the base and then I apply my white and my royal blue, let it get tacky, come back with a dry brush, boom, again, soften everything, blend it a little bit. And sometimes I notice that everything blended too much and maybe it doesn't have that oomph, that wow factor. And so I added a little bit more of whatever it is that I felt that I needed. And sometimes I felt that my blue was too blue, and sometimes I added more turquoise to the royal blue just to knock it down a little bit. And once I blended everything, sometimes I added a little bit more white for a little bit more oomph, more wow factor. So you just keep on going and keep doing that. And I also noticed that the head of my turtle was just a little bit too slim, so I had to add a little bit more there to the side. And then I started working on the top section where this is kind of like now you see the outside part of the picture. And I'm sorry I missed the very beginning of when I was doing the palm tree, but sometimes you just get into the painting so much that you are not aware of what the camera is doing. And this is just a one man band. I'm the only one that is, controlling the camera and painting at the same time. So sometimes it's really easy to just space out and, be too much into the painting, which, if you guys are artists, you know what I'm talking about. You just get into it so much. So what I did with the palm trees is I didn't go ahead and do everything blue for the sky and then added the palm tree. What I did was I left the palm tree area open. So that way I would have just a slight peak of the board, like the edges of the palm fronds have a little bit of the base color of which is the skimboard's color, really. So you see that in there. And when I blended, some of the green got smudged into the blue. So some of my colors got a little muddy, but it was okay because it's part of the grace of this, it's part of the charm of this picture, because when you're seeing things through the lens and through water, there's all kinds of distortions that happen that to me are absolutely fun and amazing. And so after this session, I should say more, I was done and I'm showing you guys what I accomplished. And that was like maybe 3 sittings, and some of these sittings were 4 hours, some of them were 6 hours. So, you can spend some time doing this kind of stuff, and everything was freehand. So, for me, that's a very fun exercise to do because I get to see where I'm at as far as, accuracy. And the picture compared to the reference where I got this from is very different. There's a lot of differences, but I like it that way. I wanted it to be very different. I didn't want it to be just like the reference material that I got because, it's freehand. And I'm also going to add some elements to this at the very end that are all about environmental awareness. And I hope you guys watch the second part because this part, I'm not done. I'm not done with it. And I'm giving you guys almost 20 minutes of this. And I know how people get, they sometimes don't always have the patience. So um, I hope you guys are enjoying it. And that, of course, I hope you guys give me the like and subscribe and hit the notifications. You know how that goes because that's what helps advance the channel. And it doesn't cost you anything to support a YouTuber like me that's been working really hard because although I'm having fun, it's still a lot of work. Every time I have to put that camera right next to me, it's in my space. I've had to adjust so many things, just to make this work and to give you guys a better view. And I'm sorry about like you get to see my nose all the time. And maybe I don't have the smiley face or whatever because I'm like just so focused on this. But it takes a lot of work to put the content out there. And that's why not everybody is, able to do this kind of stuff. So it's a free way of supporting your YouTuber by just subscribing and hitting the notifications and all that jazz. And by the way, this is my new studio, which is at the Treasure Coast Mall, which is in Jensen Beach in Florida. So if you guys are in the area, stop by and say hi. This is a really cool program. It's called Zero Empty Spaces. The location is called Zero Empty Spaces, right? And it's right next to Macy's. And what it is, it's a collaboration of, like right now we have 6 artists. 4 of us are painters. One likes to do more like a pencil type of art, and there's one guy that likes to do glass art. So, you know how like the malls have lost a lot of um, vendors, a lot of retailers. So, this is a really cool way of keeping the mall somewhat alive because there's still quite a bit of empty spaces. I hope that they have plans, which I know that there's some plans for one of the bigger spaces that I don't remember what it was. I think it's Sears that they're actually making it into kind of like a oversized Chuck E. Cheese or something like that, like a something for kids and families to come. So I think that that's going to liven up the mall a little bit more. But so far, I think it's great. A lot of people stop by and they ask, and I only have like a week and a half in this situation, and I'm loving it because I took the studio out of my home, and for me, it's very affordable. Um, and I'm still like, very close to my home. This is only like 5 minutes away from my home, so it's very convenient for me. And because we are 6 artists in this place, we take turns in taking care and manning the store. So we all watch out for each other, and I think that that is beautiful. So I hope I see you guys visiting me there. If you pass by, say hi. I'm always interested in seeing who is watching me, who is a fan. And it's always fun to see what you saw on video live and in person. So hopefully, if you are a fan, hopefully you stop by, see this particular project. Maybe it won't be sold yet. I have a feeling that this project is going to be sold kind of fast. So I don't know, but we'll see. I'll let you guys know. Anyway, definitely it's going to have a part two to it because I know I'm not going to be done yet. And you see how much work it is to do all these sections on the fins and on the shell and on the head. I mean, that's kind of like very puzzling. That these fins and reflection have been very time consuming, very fun, but very time consuming, and so much detail. Like I've been correcting a lot of my areas. I don't know if you guys have noticed that as you're going along, as you see, but yeah, there's been a lot of corrections because, when you come back, then you start realizing, ooh, this needs a little bit more ground, or that needs a little less area, or, whatever. So as I go, I make my adjustments because everything was free-handed. And if you're not using a grid, then it's really easy to skew things. So it's all right. Anyway, things are turning out really good. I'm really happy with how it's coming along. Um, so right here on the base, oh my God, this is an area that I'm going to have to work a little extra hard because the actual picture doesn't give me, the actual reference doesn't give me like the back end of this turtle. So there's a little bit of that I have to kind of like make up, but I think I can handle it. And here I go with some more wrinkles around the neck area. And of course, I'm using my fingers from my left hand to flatten the flat brush so I can use it sideways and very lightly. I'm not putting a lot of pressure, so that way my lines are pretty fine. And that was, let me tell you, that was pretty intense. Once I get over this little part, it's like, oh my God, it's almost a break, even if you're not done. But that area of all the wrinkles, that was pretty intense, honestly. And here on the belly of the turtle, I really had to make some major adjustments versus what I thought it was originally. But once you start filling in all the spaces in between the fin and like the armpit and all those wrinkles, gave me, of course, major clues that I was a little off. So I had to make a little bit of an adjustment right there on the belly, which it was not a problem. It's part of the deal. No big deal. It's only paint. I don't sweat it. I just keep filling, what I have to fill and keep adding what I have to add, what I see. There's a lot of little spots in between the neck and the fins and more wrinkles. And, I also did a little bit of adding like a very light orangey color to it and a little bit of a dry brush blend, going into areas of the fin also. At this point, it's a lot of tidying up and cleaning up and making sure that things are looking cohesive and nothing is standing out, like a sore thumb. And I take advantage and I put a little bit of like blue hues under the neck area and in between the like armpit area, in between the neck and the fins, that kind of stuff. And then I start playing with the other fin. I want to complete that too and go for the reflection. So basically, I try to complete one section and then I jump onto the other section. And or sometimes if I have a little bit of, I have to let it dry, then no big deal, I just let it dry and I come back. But there's a lot of, like, I see a lot of gray tones and I see a lot of the blues reflecting into the scales of the fin. And oh my God, I am just, it's so, to me, it's so beautiful. I am so happy I picked up this subject. Really, really enjoying it. So I'm pretty much coming up to the end of the session here that I have with you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this content. And I know you have to stick around for the next one because the next one is going to have that wow factor and the environmental awareness factor because it is a big deal. So it's a must watch, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.